My Lords, it's a pleasure to follow the Noble Lord Berkeley, and I share his interest in vehicle-to-grid storage, as I reflect shortly, although I would also make perhaps a greater stress on need for demand-side management, rather than thinking of electricity as being like water in a tap you just turn on whenever you want. Now, I note that a study carried out for the government estimated the benefits to the UK of a smart and flexible energy system could be somewhere between 17 and 40 billion pounds by 2050. Batteries are clearly a crucial part of that, so I welcome the modest progress marked by this statutory instrument and the encouraging words of enthusiasm for battery storage of the noble lady, the Minister, in introducing it. I often go back to the words of Steve Holliday, CEO of National Grid in 2015, who stated that the idea of large coal-fired or nuclear power stations to be used for baseload power is outdated. He said, from the consumer point of view, the solar on the rooftop is going to be the baseload. Energy markets are clearly moving towards a much more distributed production. Now, what was implied in that was a great growth of storage as well as renewable generation, local, household, business-based. We can only regret the lost years, the lost half-decade in which progress has been so achingly slow. I note, for example, I've often heard from a great community and social enterprise, Sheffield Renewables, that develops, funds and builds, owns and operates renewable energy schemes. It's had some great successes, but been frustrated again and again by inadequate, unstable government policies. When we're talking in all of these issues, both in the previous SI we were debating in this one, we must not lose sight of the fact that the best possible energy, the greenest, cleanest, cheapest energy, is the energy we don't need to use. Every form of electricity generation and storage, every form of energy production has a cost, both financial and environmental. And we've been seeing from the International Energy Agency in recent weeks, they've been getting highly enthusiastic about extremely low-cost solar. This is something that must not be forgotten. Now, the earlier debate in the Grand Committee focused on the importance of home energy efficiency and decarbonising heating. And it's surely the correct order for us to be doing this, speaking about battery storage next, as part of a broader focus on ensuring we can move towards a renewable-powered world. I'd particularly like to see government policy promoting household batteries and indeed rooftop solar, particularly in social housing where the benefits can flow to those who need it most, community distributed systems with distributed benefits. I saw examples of highly successful pilots of that 5 years or more ago, yet we've yet to see widespread rollout. Although I do note that Portsmouth Council has just installed battery systems in 13 housing blocks, with a further 20 on the way. There's also, when we're talking about storage, often a focus on batteries, but we also need to look at research and development and policy support for heat storage and chemical storage, which may well be cheaper and more suitable for some applications. Many years ago, however, when we're talking about vehicle-to-grid, and I want to come back to my enthusiasm for that, many years ago I visited the Eden project in Cornwall, and they were already using vehicle-to-grid in their office, powering their office from the cars, and all powered up by solar. It's disappointing we haven't seen that taking off in what is now a very mature technology. But I do have to conclude by welcoming the removal of what's clearly been the distorting impact of the NSIP regime on battery storage, but also the retention of the 50 megawatt threshold in the case of pumped hydro, reflecting, as the Minister did, the potential environmental and indeed local impacts of that. Talking hydro more generally, I can't but reflect on visiting innovative micro hydro schemes on small farms in Wales a few years ago that was putting income into small businesses, into communities. Yet there was a sudden change in government policy and that entire business collapsed. When we're talking energy policy, boom to bust, sudden changes in direction, sudden changes in policy simply have to end. We need to see consistent, long-term, stable policies to take us in the right direction in this climate emergency. Thank you, my lords.